Think about a heat pump for a second. In the summer, it cools your house down by pumping heat outside. But in the winter, that exact same physical machine just reverses direction. It literally runs backward to pump heat inside. So here's a thought. If a physical machine can run perfectly in reverse, can the math equations we use every single day do the exact same thing? Can a math function actually run backward?
Imagine you're a fashion designer's assistant. Let's call you Betty. Your boss is heading to Milan, and you've got this handy formula that easily converts 75 degrees Fahrenheit into about 24 degrees Celsius. Easy, right? But suddenly your boss sends you the whole week's weather forecast for Milan in Celsius, and you need to convert all those numbers back into Fahrenheit. Sure, you could take your formula and solve for Fahrenheit using algebra for every single day. But let's be honest, that's incredibly tedious. Wouldn't it be way better to just have a totally different formula? One where you just drop Celsius in and it immediately spits out Fahrenheit. Well, that is the magic of what we're diving into today.
By the end of this explainer, you're going to totally understand how to run these math machines backward. We're looking at the function machine reversed, verifying inverse functions, domain, range, and restrictions, inverses in tables and graphs, and finally, finding inverses algebraically.
Section 1. The function machine reversed. Inputs become outputs, and outputs become inputs.
So, that backward formula Betty the assistant was looking for, in math, we call that an inverse function. Simply put, an inverse function completely undoes the original function. The input of your original function literally becomes the output of the inverse, and the output of the original becomes the input of the inverse. We write this mathematically as an f with a tiny -1 at the top right, followed by an x in parentheses. When you see this notation, you read it out loud as f inverse of x.
Wait, hold on. This right here is absolutely crucial. Every single year, students make a massive mistake with this. Notice how that little -1 looks exactly like an exponent? It's not. It is entirely a notation. It absolutely does not mean 1 divided by the function f of x. 1 divided by f of x is a reciprocal fraction, right? Not an inverse function. The notation just kind of borrows the look of exponents because of how function composition works. But please, for the love of math, never treat it like a fraction.
Section 2. Verifying inverse functions. Do they perfectly undo each other?
If we're handed two functions, let's just call them f of x and g of x, how do we actually prove their inverses? We test them using function composition. You just plug one function entirely inside the other. If you plug g of x into f of x and all the math beautifully cancels out, leaving you with just the letter x, boom, they are inverses. Remember, that x represents your original unaltered input. If putting the output of one machine into the next machine just spits back your original starting material, they are perfectly reversing each other.
Let's make this super concrete with a rapid-fire example. Look at y equals 4x and y equals 1/4 x. Are these inverses? Let's test it. If our first function multiplies any input by 4 and we plug our second function inside it, we get 4 times 1/4 x. The 4 and the 1/4 cancel each other out completely, and we're left with just x. They perfectly undid each other. It's simple, it's elegant, and it proves our point right there.
Moving on to Section 3, Domain, Range, and Restrictions. Why some machines can't run backward. Let's think back to our definition. Inputs become outputs, and outputs become inputs. Now in math speak, all the possible inputs of a function make up its domain. All the possible outputs make up its range. Because of this, for inverse functions, we see a total swap. The domain of the original function becomes the exact range of the inverse, and the range of the original function becomes the exact domain of the inverse. They just perfectly trade places.
Now you might be wondering, does this ever cause a problem? Think about the classic quadratic function, x squared. If you input a 3, 3 squared is 9. But if you input a -3, well, -3 squared is also 9. So imagine running that specific machine backward. You feed it a 9, and you ask the machine, hey, what was the original input? The machine just jams up. It has no idea whether to spit out a 3 or a -3. It's totally confused.
Here is the big takeaway. Inverses require what we call a one-to-one function. That just means every single output must come from exactly one unique input. Visually, this means your graph has to pass the horizontal line test. But don't worry, we can actually fix our jammed x-squared machine. We just restrict its domain. If we tell our f-squared machine, okay, look, I promise to only ever input positive numbers from 0 to infinity, then the machine can run backward perfectly. The inverse function then is just the square root of x because the machine knows the original number had to be positive.
All right, Section 4, Inverses in Tables and Graphs, Visualizing the Input-Output Swap.
This perfectly illustrates just how simple inverses actually are. If you get a table of values for an original function on a test, finding the inverse table requires literally zero math. You just swap the x and y columns. Seriously, that's it. If the original function takes a 2 and outputs a 4, then the inverse takes a 4 and outputs a 2. If 5 becomes 12, then 12 becomes 5. It's just a complete swap of those coordinates.
And when you plot those swapped coordinates on a graph, something really beautiful happens visually. Swapping the x and y values creates a perfect mirror image. The graph of an inverse function is the exact graph of the original function, just reflected perfectly across the diagonal identity line, where y equals x. Imagine folding your graph paper right along that diagonal line. The two graphs would overlap perfectly.
Now you might be looking at that mirror image and wondering, wait, is there any function out there that is equal to its own inverse? Like a function that when mirrored looks exactly the same? The answer is absolutely yes. The identity function, y equals x, is its own inverse. The reciprocal function, 1 divided by x, is also its own inverse, because 1 divided by 1 over x is just x. Basically, any linear function in the format of a constant minus x is also perfectly self-reversing. Kinda cool, right?
Now for the grand finale, Section 5, Finding Inverses Algebraically, the step-by-step formula for your exams.
There are 3 main steps to actually doing this on paper. First, make sure the function is 1-to-1. If it's not, you'll have to restrict the domain like we did earlier. Second, write the function out using a y instead of f of x, and then just do the algebra to solve for x. You want to isolate x completely on one side of the equal sign. And third, the grand swap. Literally erase the x and write y, and erase the y and write x. That new y you just wrote, that is your inverse function.
Let's apply this directly to the problem from the very beginning of the explainer. Betty, the assistant, has the formula Celsius equals 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. Let's solve for f. First, we multiply both sides by 9/5 to cancel out the fraction. Then we simply add 32 to both sides. And boom, we have a brand new formula, Fahrenheit equals 9/5 Celsius plus 32. So now Betty can just drop those Milan Celsius temperatures straight into this new inverse formula and instantly get her answer. No tedious algebra required every time.
Let's power through one more slightly trickier algebraic example just to cement this. Here we have f of x equals 2 times the quantity x minus 3 plus 4. Okay, let's solve for x. First, set it to y. Then, subtract 4 from both sides. Next up, we divide both sides by 2, which leaves us with x minus 3. Finally, we add 3 to both sides to get x entirely by itself. So, x equals y minus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. Now for the final magic step, swap the variables. Our true final inverse function is f inverse of x equals x minus 4 divided by 2 plus 3. See, it's just a mechanical process of peeling away the layers.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the absolute key takeaways you need for your exams. Inverse functions are all about swapping inputs and outputs. The domain becomes the range, and the range becomes the domain. Remember the big trap, that -1 notation does not mean 1 divided by the function. You verify an inverse by plugging 1 into the other to see if you get x. Graphically, they reflect beautifully over the diagonal line y equals x. And algebraically, just solve for x and swap the variables. You've got this.
So you've mastered reversing lines, and you've learned exactly how to restrict domains to reverse parabolas and squares. But what happens if you try to build an inverse machine for a massive, skyrocketing exponential growth function? I mean, what kind of machine undoes an exponent? The answer to that question actually opens up a whole new, incredible universe of math called logarithms. But we'll have to dive into that in our next explainer. Keep practicing.